The Black Panther Party: Power, Purpose, and the Truth. Picture this: 1966. America's on fire. Cities are erupting. Civil rights leaders are being assassinated, and police sirens echo through black neighborhoods like a warning bell. Now imagine a group of young black men and women saying, "We will no longer beg for justice. We will defend ourselves." They wore black leather jackets, carried law books and rifles, and terrified the most powerful government on earth. Not because they were criminals, but because they were organized, educated, and unapologetically black. This wasn't a gang, this wasn't a hate group. This was the Black Panther Party, one of the most misunderstood movements in American history. Today, we're cutting through the myths to understand who the Panthers really were, what they stood for, and why their legacy still matters. The Black Panther Party was founded in 1966 in Oakland, California, by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. At the time, police brutality in black communities wasn't just common, it was expected. Officers could harass, beat, or kill with little consequence. Newton and Seale studied the law. They discovered something powerful. In California, citizens could legally monitor police interactions as long as they didn't interfere. So the Panthers did exactly that, armed with books, not just bullets. Contrary to popular belief, the Panthers didn't believe in random violence. Their core philosophy was self-defense, not aggression. Their message was simple: if the state won't protect black lives, black people will protect themselves. The 10-point program at the heart of the Black Panther Party was the 10-point program, a list of demands that read less like radical ideology and more like basic human rights. They demanded freedom, full employment, decent housing, quality education, and an end to police brutality. They wanted black history taught in schools. They wanted juries made up of peers. They wanted dignity. In other words, the Panthers weren't just fighting the system, they were exposing how broken it already was. Here's the part history books often skip. The Panthers ran free breakfast programs for children, feeding tens of thousands every week. They opened health clinics, provided free medical testing, escorted elderlies safely through neighborhoods, and even offered education programs. In fact, the U.S. government later adopted free breakfast programs nationwide, inspired directly by the Panthers. That's right, one of the most dangerous groups in America was feeding kids before school. Go figure. Why the government panicked? Well, the Panthers treated like public enemy number one because they combined community power, political education, and armed self-defense, a mix that challenged authority in a way polite protest never did. The FBI labeled the Panthers the greatest internal threat to national security. The government infiltrated the party, spread misinformation, encouraged internal conflict, and targeted leaders for arrest or even worse. In 1969, Fred Hampton, a 21-year-old Panther leader in Chicago, was killed during a police raid while he slept. Evidence later showed the operation was coordinated with federal authorities. The message was clear: organizing black communities was more dangerous than any weapon. By the early 1970s, internal divisions, relentless surveillance, and government pressure weakened the party. Some leaders were in prison, exiled, or even killed. By the 80s, the Black Panther Party as a national organization had dissolved, but the ideas never did. Today, when we talk about police accountability, mutual aid, free breakfast programs, or community-based activism, we're echoing Panther principles. The Panthers forced America to confront a hard truth. Equality isn't handed down, it's demanded, organized, and defended. In closing, the Black Panther Party wasn't perfect. They were young, bold, and human, but they were also brave enough to say what many were afraid to say out loud: that justice without power is just a promise waiting to be broken. So the next time you hear the name Black Panther, don't think fear, think community, think self-determination, think people who refuse to be invisible. Because Black history isn't just about surviving, it's about standing up and challenging the rules. Man Talk Central, Black History 2026.
Okay, it's that time of the week. Let's get it. Indeed. Man talk, man talk, man talk, man talk, man talk central. That's what we're doing here. Four dudes out of the mud, now we're ruling here. we give it to you, deliver like Amazon. You're listening to Kings and Champions. No matter what we're talking about, we're gonna give it to you straight, man, no doubt. No doubt. Hey yo, we on our way to greatness. God's got our back, so chill and relax. This is Man Talk Central. Welcome back to another episode of Man Talk Central. Let's get it.
Welcome to another episode of Man Talk Central. This podcast is all about experienced perspectives. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You will get it raw and uncut. Before going any further, please like and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. Or take time out and send us an email, and we'll answer it at our earliest convenience. Now, let me introduce to some and present to others. Three brothers like no other, starting with Dan. Good morning.
Good morning. How y'all doing out there? Thanks for tuning in. Let's see what we can do this week.
Stand and drop it down. DJ Eddie T. Good morning.
That would be me. Good morning, all. I'm looking forward to this lovely day and this lovely weekend and these lovely topics that we're going to cover.
Standing in Colonel Esquire. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody coming in one more week. Let's get into it.
Outstanding. So as you all know, it's Black History Month. Yes, we have 28 days, but we will cover a couple of topics such as the Black Panther Party, Carter G. Woodson, Thurgood Marshall, and the Tulsa Race Riot. So stay tuned, and most likely you will get a chance to view it, hear it at the end of our podcast. Today's topics, we got the Super Bowl, Seattle versus New England, Hall of Fame inductees, kids walking out on school protesting ICE, NBA trades, Virginia gun laws, and I threw something in there, a little extra Valentine's Day. What does Valentine's Day mean to you? Power to the people. So with that, we're going to start with the Hall of Fame inductees. They were Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke K., Adam Vinatieri, and Roger Craig. So I'm going to start with you, Dan. Talk to me about what's your thoughts about the Drew Brees selection. Uh-oh. You're on mute, son.
I was all right with Drew Brees getting in. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes.
I think I was more shocked with Roger Craig that it took so long for somebody so great to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was the shock for me. But I'm happy for Drew Brees. It's about time he got some kind of credit for being a great quarterback that he is. He did a lot for the people in New Orleans. We all know that. Larry Fitzgerald was a dominant receiver out there in Arizona, and he did a good job for him. Adam Vinatieri, kicking them field goals. He kicked his way right past your man Bill Belichick also. That was an eye opener, but I guess there's more to come from the NFL, and we'll see what they have to say, because I don't know how people are going to respond or react to that. Don't get me wrong, he deserved to get in. Bill Belichick not getting in, and he's getting in. We'll have to see what happens.
Gotcha. Colonel Esquire, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's another example of what we were talking about last week with Bill Belichick. I mean, if you're well liked, the chances of you getting in sooner are going to be higher than if you're not. I mean, and that's just kind of like with everything, not just the Hall of Fame, but with most examples in life. But with Drew Brees, I mean, that was no issues. Larry Fitzgerald, no issues. Those two leading the Hall of Fame inductee class. But you've seen a lot of both of them, consistently throughout their career, giving back to the community, saying the right things in the media, doing the right things on the field, mutual respect amongst the players. They hadn't heard any bad stories, or people disliking them or whatever the case is.
So that was a no-brainer. And despite the fact, like, for example, like Larry Fitzgerald, he never won a Super Bowl. But because of everything that he did, his contributions, and he was well-liked. I mean, that pretty much put him over the top, which is why you're not going to see somebody like, well, they won't. I don't think they'll be able to deny Belichick again. But that's why they were, I think, in their minds, they were able to justify not putting him in as a first ballot. I agree with Dan as far as Roger Craig. I think the only reason he didn't get in before, he was just a victim of the team that he was on. You know, so many, Hall of Fame players, top tier caliber players. I mean, Roger Craig was an unsung hero of that team, and the people on that team will tell you that they couldn't have done it without him. But you're looking at, who was he playing with? Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, a bunch of other people on that team. So yes, that's probably why he just kind of got lost in the mix as far as Hall of Fame players. But I had no issues with the class. A kicker, hey, he did what he had to do. He didn't miss any field goals, Vinatieri. So, he had one job, one assignment, and he did that assignment, almost better than anybody. Kuechly, he was the linebacker for Carolina Panthers, I believe, just off base. And he was another guy that, didn't make any waves. He was in the community a lot, did a lot. He was mutually respected. So to me, it was a no-brainer why this class got in.
Okay. DJ Eddie T.
Yes, sir. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to have to agree with Ephraim on, this class being, inducted and everyone coming in and doing what they had done. I don't know why. I think it was 33 years that it took Roger Craig to get in. I just remember him, obviously when I was living in the Bay, that he was one of the greats, obviously. But again, as Colonel Esquire mentioned, he had a team full of greats. So that brings up something. Has anyone ever been in, like, teammates at the same time, ever been inducted? Do you guys know?
Mm-mm.
That you know of? Okay.
Question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because, that team, the San Francisco 49ers team, was something to deal with. I didn't like them, of course, but they were definitely something to deal with. Vinatieri, not missing any field goals. I never knew that about him. I don't know if that's true or if Colonel Esquire was just being funny, but I've never seen a perfect kicker. But if that was the case, then, he, like I said, he had one job and he did what he was supposed to do. The other fellas, Fitzgerald, I think he was the first one that I realized that had long hair coming out of the back of those helmets. I remember those days. So, other than Kevin Green and, those guys. But as far as the inductees, those guys earned it. I think it's a heck of an achievement, obviously. I've been to the Football Hall of Fame, and it's an amazing place. If you guys haven't been, I think it's somewhere that you should definitely try to visit up in Canton. It's an amazing facility. So that's my take on it.
Outstanding. To your last point, I had a chance when I was stationed in Fort Knox. That's the closest I've ever been. Me and the boys drove up there to see it. It was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. No issues with Drew Brees, number 2 all-time passer. That has to account for something. I think the closest active quarterback that's still playing naturally is Aaron Rodgers, but he's like 16,000 yards behind the dude, right? And I know you guys was talking about on the field and off the field, but really it's supposed to be what they did on the field. That was the definition for them being inducted into the Hall of Fame, but everybody wants to add to it. But great guy on and off the field. Larry Fitzgerald, number 2, all-time receiving yards, right? And it goes without saying. I think who is the active player closest to him now? I think it's DeAndre Hopkins, right? But he ain't gonna make it. We know that because he plays for the Ravens, and that's a different story. But well deserved. Luke K, I really wasn't tracking him as being that great, but he's a tier 3 linebacker, and so with all due respect, kudos to him. Adam Vinatieri, there's only been 5 NFL kickers be inducted in the Hall of Fame. 5. So with that being said, had to do was he was consistent, and I think it goes back to the team piece because he was on that team with he was Peyton Manning's kicker, right, for the Colts, right? Needless to say, and then you asked the question, AT, about has there been any teammates inducted at the same time? I believe that's what I heard. There's never been teammates inducted in the Hall of Fame the same year, same time. So, it is what it is. Now, Roger Craig, I got to give some kickback. This dude ranked number 47 amongst all NFL running backs. 47. Was he one of those, this is last chance, last hurrah, let's go ahead and give him a carrot? Again, I think that they need to change the voting to whereas not only you need players to vote, and you can have these sports writers, right? You don't want to take any power from so on and so forth. But not saying he's not deserving, but he has been waiting 47 years or 50 years or 33 years. But when I look who's in front of him, Fred Taylor, I mean, come on, man. Fred Taylor was a beast, right? So if I had to pick Fred Taylor versus Roger Craig, I would have picked Fred Taylor. Just my thoughts. Any alibis? Yes, sir.
How long is it? 5 years you have to be at the league before you get? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Any alibis on the Hall of Fame? Inductees. All right. Same sport. Seattle versus New England. Who you got? Talk to me, DJ Eddie T.
Going with Seattle. Going with Seattle.
Say it loud. Seattle and proud. Come on now. Don't do that.
I have to go with Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm really pulling for them. I just it dawned on me that this is a rematch from what year was that? Whatever. Yeah. And I want Seattle to pull this one off.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's all right. Real quick, I think New England has enough rings, so yeah, it's time for Seattle.
I got you. Conrad Squire.
Definitely Seattle. With that said, I don't think it's going to be a lopsided game. I think it's going to be competitive. I mean, I think New England is going to be there to compete. They're going to have a game plan set up. They're going to probably try to keep the ball out of Seattle's hands, ball control, slow the game down. I think it's not going to be a runaway contest. I think there's going to be more controversy about the halftime shows versus the game, but I think the game overall, definitely going with Seattle. I felt bad. I felt sick that week. I had to choose between Denver and New England. It was like upset stomach, like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't like either one of those teams. So it's very easy for me to pick Seattle. But I'm not going to get it twisted. I'm pretty sure New England's got a game plan. They know what they're doing up there. They didn't get there just by luck. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be a problem to deal with for the next few years. But I think Seattle has too much firepower. I think everything has been lined up for them to win, barring something crazy like an injury or something, unknown. I think Seattle's going to win. They're probably going to win probably 10, 14 points.
Ooh, wow. Okay. 10, 14 points. And talk to us.
I'm going with Seattle also. I don't know about 10, 14 points. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll come down to the wire. Donald's true test, I guess, as I would put it, because, he's been walking through some of these cats and he's had a few trials. This will be a true test if he can get on that stage and stand tall. I can't do New England. I'm sorry. I just can't vote for them. I just can't root for them. It's a wrap, dude. You might as well just slide that to the left. We're done with that. Seattle all the way.
Wow. Well, I can't go against the grain. Homegrown Seattle, second team. I'm going for them. However, they have a tall task in front of them. I believe New England has a better running game than Seattle. Will the real Sam Darnold stand up? Is he going to have a great game? Or is Drake May going to lose his mind because he lost the MVP voting to Matthew Stafford by 1 vote. Is he gonna lose his doggone mind out there? I know it's gonna be a great game. I believe, like you said, Dan, it's gonna be a small victory, probably last second field goal. Too bad they don't have Adam Vinatieri, but I predict it's gonna be 31-28 Seattle Seahawks. And all those New England fans out there, just deal with it. Wait till next year. Be all right.
I think Seattle have home field advantage in a sense.
True.
I know supposedly it's supposed to be half and half, but I don't know how they even control that.
Yeah.
Half whatever team and tickets to that team and tickets to that team. But yeah, there's no way that it wouldn't be home field advantage for Seattle, in my opinion.
Outstanding. You know what's really crazy is all four of us picked Seattle. Is it because of hatred towards New England? Or do we really feel that Seattle is a better team? I don't know.
I think
I
it's more.
speak for me and Jets Nation when I say we're not going for New England. Throw them away.
Gotcha.
Oh
Gotcha.
yeah, I think it's more hatred. I would have obviously seen rather see the Texans, but I was pulling for Chicago. I was really pulling for Chicago to be in the Super Bowl.
We do not agree with his comments. We do not want the Texans to win jack. Dallas
Yeah,
Cowboys for life. Just letting you know.
no more.
You know.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna stay in the world of sports. Let's talk about these NBA trades. I was like, oh my God, did everybody, like all the coaches get fired in the NFL, then every player in the NBA get traded? So I'm gonna start with Colonel Esquire. What was shocking to you, man?
Well, what would have been shocking to me was Giannis, but I guess they didn't pull the trigger on that. But to be honest, I was excited about the trades, but not really surprised. James Harden, he wants that max deal. They can't, the Clippers, it's a big market, but they can't afford to pay everybody. Me personally, I really got with a Kawhi as opposed to Harden, but Kawhi's your franchise player. He's temperamental, in my opinion, but he still delivers. He still, is a guy that when his head's on right, you want to build a franchise around. James Harden, he wants that max deal. He's been pretty good in LA, but you got to get rid of somebody. And, Paul George has already, flown to Philadelphia. So you're rebuilding to around Kawhi. So it makes sense to me. They're getting the other guy, Darius Garland. So that's going to help out supporting cast for Kawhi. So I have no issues with that. The Anthony Davis trade, going to the Wizards. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought he was traded to the hospital. What happened?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he did get out of the ambulance, didn't he?
Yeah. You know, I don't know what's wrong with him. Like, I don't know why he's so injury prone. So he played the whole time he was in Dallas. He played 29 games, and now he's upset. He's disappointed that the Mavs gave up on him. Well, I mean, what do they say what all the sportscasters say? The best ability is availability. He wasn't available.
Right.
I know he wanted to play with LA. I know he was hurt and all that kind of stuff, but you can't. It's just like anything. I mean, I can't call in the job, call in sick to the job 30 times, and then expect to have a job. I mean, it's no different. Hey, Ephraim, we need you to come in and make these fries every day. You can't be calling in sick. Our customers don't have hot fries. The same thing with the basketball. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game, a childhood game. All right, and I get it. It's a grown man sport. It's very physical. You have injuries, but these are billionaires that are invested in you, and they're not getting a return on investment. So they gotta ship you off. And so I hope that he can, I guess, bounce back and salvage his career and maybe do like a comeback or something. But no, it makes total sense to me. I mean, there was another trade. I mean, I forgot who else got traded, but those are the two that stood out to me: James Harden and Anthony Davis. And, you know, Giannis, I don't know. I'm kind of glad they didn't trade him because I had a feeling that he was going to go to OKC. Now, I'm a fan of OKC, but at the end of the day, blue and orange everything. New York Knicks. I'm not going against the Knicks, right? And so, you know, the Knicks can beat just about everybody except for the Thunder. And the Thunder can beat just about everybody except for the Spurs. And so the Spurs are a problem for the Thunder. And so I was thinking that OKC was trying to get Giannis so they can help them with their Spurs problem. Because the Spurs have been giving it to them all year long. And so I'm kind of glad Giannis is staying in place. And to be honest, I want him to go to the Knicks, but then again, I don't, because right now we have a good nucleus. We have a good chemistry. And I don't know. I mean, Giannis is an unselfish player, but then again, it's Giannis. You got to cater to him, and I don't know how that's going to affect the flow of the game with Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and Bridges. You see what I'm saying? Of course, we're talking basketball, so it's always going to be the Knicks. So I got to circle around that. I know we're talking about the trades, but we're going to talk about the Knicks. But to wrap it up, Harden was wanting money. He was going to ask for more money than what I think LA was going to offer him. And of course, Harden wants to go to a contender. So it only makes sense to send him to a contender. He got a win out of it. And then you're getting a younger player that you don't have to pay quite as much to support Kawhi. And so I just think that everybody's happy in that trade. He did what he had to do. It wasn't like a fallout like it was in Cleveland. It ended bad. I'm sorry. It didn't end quite as bad like it did in Houston and Philadelphia. So I think this is a win-win for both teams involved. Anthony Davis, he's got to stay healthy long enough to even have some leverage.
So before I pass it to you, Dan, you said something that kind of struck a nerve with me. And so I have a question for the group. What is the difference between Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis? Nothing. They all played 30 games a season. Nothing.
Kawhi's laugh.
Yeah. Nah.
That's
Hey,
the only-
he's still a little bit more healthier over the course of.
Okay,
longer time.
he plays 40 games a season. Okay, I got you, right? You know, both of them jokers need, hey, look here. They need to send them to the D League. But yeah.
Well, Kawhi,
Dan,
I'm
I'm sorry.
Kawhi has proven that he can carry a team to a chip. Anthony Davis has not proven he can carry a team to a chip on his own. He's had to have, now I got it, it's a team play, it's a team sport, so you got to have supporting players. Kawhi carried that Raptors team to the title. Was an unsung hero with the Spurs. Anthony Davis, you know, okay, yeah, he was with New Orleans, taken to the first round, maybe second round. But after that, he couldn't do anything on his own. Okay. And with LeBron at the Lakers, LeBron allowed him to be able to shine and do what he had to do. But he still had to stay healthy for that. You know, and Kawhi, yeah, I mean, he's the king of load management. But he's put enough in the bank where people are willing to take a chance on him because he's got that title behind him. I mean, Anthony Davis has got a title, but yeah, I mean, everybody knows, you know, LBJ. I mean, come on, let's keep it real. That's LeBron.
Okay. What have you done for me lately? 15 years ago, I proved that I could run 2 miles in 11 minutes and 42 seconds. That was 15 years ago.
That was
Man, and you're a
that
New
was
York
the
Knicks
bubble
fan. I
title,
can't even
right?
talk to you right now.
I don't know. I think Kawhi is more of a better position player than your boy Davis. And we don't want to start talking about LBJ. I'd rather not get people fired up and my house get burnt down to the
Speak your
ground.
truth.
Kids hate me.
Speak your truth.
But yo, Davis carried LBJ, and we're not talking about Lyndon B. Johnson either. So I don't want to hear all that. We can stuff that. I'm gonna let y'all finish.
No, go ahead, Dan. You got the con. Go ahead. Speak your
Oh, my
truth.
bad. Now, a couple of trades, I'm gonna leave that alone. But a couple of trades that got me was Ball. going to the Jazz. That was interesting, Lonzo Ball. I mean, I never thought they would have traded him. And Harden, anytime he wants to get out of somewhere, he's going to make a stink. You're going to get rid of him.
Child support.
I get it, but to the Cavs, I wasn't too impressed with that trade. The other one that really shocked me was Trey Young. I thought he was going to stay in Atlanta forever. When we start talking about teams and we start talking about their franchise players and we start talking about history of a team and you can recognize a player from that team, Trey Young to me was becoming the face of Atlanta as far as when it comes to basketball. For them to get rid of him or trade him or however you want to put it, but he's no longer there and employed there, that was the real shocker to me. I just don't understand where we're going. I get it. It's all about money. I understand that. But sometimes it's nice to have that stability. Sometimes it's nice to have that legacy where you have this player that you can look back on and he helped you get from point A to point B. And I really believe Trey Young would have been that player had he stayed there a little bit longer.
Gotcha. Appreciate you. DJ Eddie T?
Yes. Guys, I must admit that I don't really pay that much attention to the NBA like I used to. But I guess, James Harden being traded, Anthony Davis being traded would be obviously, again, I'm repeating what others have stated, that those are are the two biggest trades. These teams pretty much do what they want to do, feel as if this person will be a better fit for the puzzle. They make moves. Sometimes the moves work out, sometimes they don't. But, with Anthony Davis, not once have I ever stepped on the court to play NBA ball, but for whatever reason, injuries have, messed with his career. Some years back, there was one gentleman that injuries had messed with his career, but at the end of the day, he still got into the Hall of Fame. So, hey, who knows? Speaking of Hall of Fame, Anthony Davis may get there one day. Obviously, he's a great player. He just, again, with injuries. But I guess the deadline was, Thursday? So everything is set, correct, as far as, who's been moved and whatnot. But again, guys, I apologize to the group and to our fans, our followers, that I'm not really a big NBA follower anymore. So that's all I have to say about that one this go around.
It happens. It's not as entertaining as it once was.
Correct.
But
Correct.
I will say I need to throw a couple of facts out there, and mainly for Colonel Esquire. He was talking about the Knicks, blue, orange, white, red, whatever colors y'all wear. But, they made it to the finals last year, right? So that's like every 20 years. So don't expect that this year. Just want to let you know. But I will say, wherever Giannis goes, I was really hoping he went to the Mavericks, right? I think if the Mavericks picked him up, that would definitely help that. I think he would disrupt Oklahoma City, but I think he would help the Mavericks. Because I see Oklahoma City as just kind of like a free, very wiry team. Everybody can go one-on-one. I mean, they're a pretty exciting group to watch. But out of all the trades, the thing that caught me was Paul to the Raptors. I was like, damn, Chris Paul's still playing? I mean, I was a private. It was like 1991 when he was drafted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
He's technically, they're not going to get him on the court. They're just trading the rights to him.
Oh, okay. Thanks for explaining that.
Okay. Because I was going to say I didn't think he was playing either.
I was like, what the?
Yeah.
Why is his name still in the? But at the end of the day, the NBA. I'm almost inclined to watch the ladies 3-on-3 before looking at the NBA. It's a little more exciting. I'm just saying. I go back to one of the comments Deion Sanders said. He's like, it's very hard to coach multimillionaires, right? And then you hear, the GOAT, Michael Jordan talk about, what are these guys earning, right? Their first contract, they're multimillionaires. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on them. But it's just not the product isn't good. So, I usually pick up the NBA right around playoff time, right? So, it is what it is. Any other alibis talking about the NBA trades?
If it does come up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. But real quick, if it does come up with Dallas and Giannis, that would be a reunion of head coach player. I remember Dallas's coach, his first coaching job was in Milwaukee. Giannis was there, so I mean, I think that would be a good fit.
Yeah. The only
If-
thing about it, Giannis has like 18 brothers, so I think the whole roster would be Giannis playing. But it's
He does
something.
have a brother in the league, doesn't he?
He has two, don't he?
I knew of one, but
Yeah, I think it's the baby brother. Just this might be his first year. I might be wrong. I might have to look that up. Yeah. You have something to say, Dan?
I just noticed you said the GOAT was who else other than Jordan, for the
Exactly.
people out there that don't really understand.
Exactly.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand that.
We need to move on. We need to move on. Time to
Generation
swing.
X that have been brainwashed by marketing of Gatorade, Nike, and McDonald's.
Look,
Yes,
I'll be
I
honest.
will acknowledge that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. However, my personal favorite player from a youth, and will always be that way, is Dr. Julius Erving, Dr. J. However, the best player I've seen to step on an NBA court, Mr. LeBron James. Thank you very much.
You know what, Rob?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, law-abiding
No, you
citizen.
good. You good.
I think we should just have a quick debate, okay? Now, I won't say debate. Let's have a quick favorite. Colonel Esquire just mentioned his favorite. Now, I'm going out on a limb. It's not really out on a limb. My favorite, obviously, the GOAT. But my favorite all-time player was Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Rain Man.
The Rain Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that guy there, he was different. And you talking about people talking about putting the team on their back. That guy put the team on his back every single night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt, I have to give it to him. Sean
got-
Kemp.
That's
Go ahead,
funny
Dan.
you say that because that is my favorite. When we were growing up, I wasn't a Michael Jordan fan. I can recognize greatness for what it is after the fact. But at that time, I did not like Jordan because I was a Kemp fan all the way, especially when he got cut out of the Olympics and they put Pippen and Jordan in. I was like, no, come on, man. No. Not
Yeah.
after the season that Sean Kemp had. He deserved to be in that Olympics. I mean, I would get fired up about that right now. But
Oh, yeah.
he was a great ball player. He did put Seattle on his back. Now, after the fact, when you look through time, yes, I can recognize greatness. I can appreciate what Michael Jordan did. Obviously, growing up, I didn't appreciate it because he wasn't my favorite. But he still is a GOAT. He is the GOAT, excuse me, not a GOAT. And I get it. LeBron, real talk. He can play ball way better than I can, so I'm not going to go there. So people out there, watch yourself. But he is not a player that I want to see play constantly on the court. I was more of a Durant fan more than a LeBron fan, and then now you got the two of them kind of throwing shade on the older players. I'm not cool about that. But LeBron does do things off the court that are awesome. He takes care of his people. He takes care of the community. He is a great advocate for the NBA as far as off the court. His on the court antics is what I don't appreciate.
Correct. I would think that everyone would agree with his on the court antics.
Yeah.
He can put some points on the board. Don't get me wrong, but the flopping and all of that, it's like, come on, man. Because you watch videos of people just walking by and him falling out like he's been shot. It's kind of like, man, what's going on here?
And he was really hurt.
Yeah.
What his feelings?
Yeah. But the crazy thing about it
60
is,
stones.
yeah. The crazy thing about it is there's multiple GOATs, right? Let's be honest, right? I think a lot of times there's no true definition of what a GOAT is. But if you want to look at, who really took the NBA to a different level that was outside of play, I believe David Stern had his vision was, to make it global. And he used Michael Jordan to make it global, right? And he did what was expected of him. And he played beyond well, right? So my favorite player is Magic Johnson. That's my favorite player, right? Because I just loved how he controlled the floor. And I was like, man, I wish I had that ability to just see the floor the way he saw the floor. But as far as the excitement, I really loved Michael Jordan, right? You talk about Sean Kemp. Dang. But who was another Sean Kemp? Dominique Wilkins. People don't even give Dominique Wilkins any type of love, right? And that brother was nasty. I'm not an
Chocolate
Isaiah
Thunder.
Thomas fan, but Isaiah was cold, right? AI cold, right?
Oh
So
man, we could
I
just
don't
keep
think
going
that,
on and on.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
think the players of today are as skilled. Well, let me back up. They have, how can I say it? I think the players back in the day were were more appealing, right? They were exciting. Guys today, because it's like a 3 point league, right? We got to shoot 53s. We got to put up 53s. And that's a center, power forward. I mean, everybody's shooting threes. The game is just different. So I'm not going to knock it. And then we talk about LBJ. That's how everything started. LeBron James is he's a dream. He's an American dream. This dude coming from where he started to where he's at today is by far. I mean, he lived up to all the hype, right? So they betted on him and they won. He betted on himself and won. And what's troubling is he invests so much money into keeping his body ready to play. I'm cool with him having load management at the age of 56, right? I think that's only right. But you know, these other jokers that's, 24, 27 years old, oh, I can't play 20 games a season. Man, you got a problem. You need to earn your right to get put on that load management tier, right? But at the end of the day, the GOAT is Michael Jordan.
I like the new term. I never, heard it before, but load management. I don't know where it came from. I like that. But you know
That's
what?
a new term for taking a night off.
Real quick, I know we're running behind or whatever, but I guess I've had these discussions with a lot of people over the years, so I'm not necessarily bashing or challenging Michael Jordan being the GOAT. I guess what I'm challenging is the media's attempt, or not, I guess successful attempt, to place LeBron James up there. Like even at the beginning with the Sports Illustrated, the chosen one. Like, and I know LeBron James hasn't made it easy for himself with some of the stuff he said in the press or whatever. So I can't even defend that. But his game, Kobe Bryant is the one from day one that said he was gonna mimic his game, Michael Jordan's game. He was gonna surpass him. He was gonna study everything he could be about Michael so he could surpass him. In the beginning, anyway, LBJ was just trying to make it out of poverty, make it to the league. And his game, to me, mimics more of Magic Johnson's game than anybody. So I guess I'm pushing back as far as why we're even comparing those two players, or why we continue to compare those two players over the years. And again, LeBron said some stuff in the press that I don't agree with and I can't defend, but that's what I'm pushing back on. We're comparing two players that don't even have the same type of game. Like, it's almost like, why are we even doing this? Why have we not compared Kobe and Michael this whole time, or Magic and LeBron versus Michael and LeBron?
But
And I think there was that comparison with Kobe and Michael for a little while. I think we're just rolling with the narrative that the media is pushing out, that everybody's rolling with it. And in reality, for me, and this is just straight up unadulterated, for my kids, I get it. LeBron James is their GOAT of their lifetime. Understand
Right,
it?
of their era. Right.
Yes, their era, whatever, But there are greater players out there to me. And I just have a different set of game. Nobody can really sit down and say who the real GOAT is. And it's fun to argue and it's fun to go back and forth with all the banter and stuff. But these guys are great players. And regardless of how much junk I talk about most of these professional athletes, they're great players. We're just here to criticize, just like we always do, and pick fun and go back and forth. But nobody's actually serious. We can't really determine, and I agree with you, you can't determine who the GOAT is by just a conversation and sitting down. Even stats don't matter. You can look at stats. LeBron's got longevity. That doesn't make him the GOAT.
Right.
Nobody's even talking about Kareem.
Hold on, you talk about stats, right? But let's look at Michael Jordan's accomplishments, right? not just stats, but look at Defensive Player of the Year award, first team all defense, so on and so forth. So if you want to look at stats, it's not just about points, but what else did you do? Right. And I think
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people lean towards Michael Jordan than LeBron James. And then what you just stated a minute ago, Colonel Esquire, in reference to Magic Johnson, I have to interject Scottie Pippen in there. I think LeBron James is just a well version of Scottie Pippen because Scottie Pippen was all around. Because Magic Johnson, he didn't play no defense. He didn't play no defense.
Who didn't play defense?
Magic Johnson.
Okay.
He didn't play no. He was slow. He was slow. Don't get me wrong. Great player. Make no mistake. But he wasn't really a defensive specialist. Scottie would lock people up.
Right.
Now, mind you, LeBron James, he's more of a off defender type, right? He's not going to lock anybody down. But I think if you compare him, I would like to say that maybe Magic Johnson evolved into Scottie Pippen evolved into, LBJ. And
Right.
we'll go from there.
Well,
Go ahead, Edge T.
I'm going to say this. Now, we could even break it down even further, in which, we're not. But I'm saying at each position, at point guards, you have amazing point guards. You have amazing forwards. You have amazing centers. Patrick Ewing just came up earlier this week. I mean, that was one of the greatest centers ever. I love watching Patrick Ewing. Okay. You talk about guards. You talk about Allen Iverson. I have to throw, of course, Jason Kidd in there. He's one of the best point guards ever. It's just, like I said, if you go from different positions, you have Kevin Garnett as one of the great forwards. I mean, it could go on and on. If we talk to guys 10 years older than us, they would have their favorites. You talk to people 10 years younger than us, they would have their favorites. But without a doubt, number 23, the best all-around basketball player that ever step on the court.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Number 2 would be number 8 and number 24. He had 2 numbers. So, I mean, that.
Yeah, and people need to put respect on Kobe's name. I know there's a lot of commentary about why now that he's not here, everybody's trying to compare themselves to him or kind of downplay his accomplishments or talk in a negative light towards this gentleman. At the end of the day, Kobe Bryant was a straight beast, and he's top 5 in my book, period. Any alibis? Yes, sir.
Now we said number 1 and number 2. MJ, Kobe Bryant.
So with that, as we close that particular segment, I just want everybody to know Colonel Esquire has been taking medication. That's why he's, okay. My bad. I didn't mean to put that out there like that. Okay.
Coming right at the gate with no delay, getting started right away. Got a little bit to say. First off, glory to the Lord each and every day. He's the truth and the life. He's the only way. He's the potter, I'm the clay. What more can I say? Need to get him in your life. Hurry up, out of the way. Getting that out of the way. Now we go on with our day. Gonna keep giving you bars, cause you know my resume. Treat the music like a crime, I'm a predicate. Cause I be murdering beats with the nouns, verbs, and the predicates. Hard, never delicate. No, cause when it comes to I hate to see you later, we gotta stay separate. Bye-bye. Ain't no doubt, I'm the one you can lean on. Man talk search is what I be on. No doubt. Cause every time you turn the beat on, my flow stay hot like a furnace in your house whenever you turn the heat on. Colonel Esquire,
Okay, so let's go ahead and transition into the Virginia gun laws. I believe that was a topic DJ Eddie T wanted to discuss, if I remember correctly. You wasn't the one who said that? Okay, well, I just wanted to start with you. I just figured I'd call you out. But anyway, so what it is, I guess the leadership or the congressional folks of Virginia are now mandating or trying to mandate that if you are a concealed weapon carrier, you have to have some type of contraption built on your car that no longer can you leave your weapon in a locked glove compartment. You have to weld something into your vehicle because if you don't, somebody breaks in your car, steals your weapon, utilizes it in some type of armed robbery or some type of illegal activity and they get caught, it's on you. So with that being said, I'm gonna open the floor up with I'll start with Colonel Esquire so he can give us the legalities of it and go from there.
Well, for those of us who own guns, I would just, and I don't I'm not advocating moving to Oklahoma, but we don't have those issues because it's a constitutional carry state. So what that means is open carry, concealed carry. It's pretty much the wild, wild west out here. But the law is, I know what the law is attempting to do there in Virginia based on what I read of it. But I think it's a brush. Sorry, turn my phone down. It's a brush painting a picture too broad. You're trying to, in most of these laws, particularly in my opinion, when it comes to like gun control, you're punishing the law-abiding gun owners, the people who are responsible for the guns, right? People who are responsible, they're going to follow the laws. So you're basically trying to cut down on neglect, but you shouldn't be penalized if someone breaks into your car and you're doing the right things. Now, I don't, again, yeah, you're a gun owner, you're going to a place, doctor's office, courthouse, depending on where you live, you may not be able to take that weapon inside with you, which is why you would leave it in your car. I don't know any responsible gun owners that would just leave their guns in their car all the time. But if you go into the store, you go into a place for a moment, you have to you leave your gun in your car, it gets broken into, and the Virginia legislature determines that you didn't have it in a gun safe in your car, then you're going to get charged with a misdemeanor. And that's serious because, in most cases, if you're a convicted, not a convicted, misdemeanors, but it'll hinder you as far as job applications. If you're a convicted felon, you definitely can't have a firearm. And I just don't think that people should be penalized to that degree if they leave their weapon in their car. Now, I got it. It's different and you can go down a rabbit hole. Did you report the weapon being stolen? Was it legal were you legally able to have it to begin with? All these things would go into place if something like that were to happen. But just the law on its face, in my opinion, is a bit too strict because it doesn't include all the variables of why a person would leave their gun inside their car. And a normal, tax-paying, law-abiding citizen should not be penalized for criminal activity. No pun intended, RB3. So yes, I said a lot to say that the law is just too strict for me. I don't know. I know what the intent of the law is, but it should have been worded differently. It should have been worded better. It should have included the variables that protect legal gun owners better in the state of Virginia.
Very good. Well put, Dan. I know you have about 27 rifles and handguns and bow and arrow and slingshots. Talk to us.
And hand grenades.
This guy. No, just checking it out. For right now, I don't like it. There's going to be times where you're going to be carrying and you may have to put it up. As long as you try to lock it up and don't leave it in plain sight, I can see that. They're making the laws, to me personally, they're making the laws stricter for the registered gun owners than they are for the criminals. So I got to be penalized because somebody broke into my car and stole my gun. Now, I get it if I don't report it. Okay, yeah, hit me, But if I do what I'm trying to do to secure my weapon, and somebody does illegal activities and breaks into my vehicle, what's next? You lock up your gun in your house, in your safe. Somebody breaks into your house, they steal your weapons. Now, what are you going to be held liable for that? As long as you report it, I think you should not be held liable. I think that's what we have the system for. I think that's what the intent is for, to actually report it. This law itself, to make another fixture on your vehicle, I don't get it. I don't understand it. When you can just go buy a safe and lock it in the car. I don't know anybody that leaves their guns in their car overnight. I know guys that go to different places and you have to leave your weapon in while you step inside, and then you come back out, you retrieve everything, and you go about your business. I'm not a big fan of this gun law.
Outstanding. DJ Eddie T.
Okay, coming from a person who's actually had that happen to them, a few years ago, I went to dinner, stepped into a restaurant, come back out, glove compartment was open. I was like, something's wrong. Click, because I, kept my weapon in a backpack under my seat. Come back and it was gone. So immediately call Harris County Sheriff. They come out, take a report. And each year, actually, they do follow up with me to see if it's been retrieved or if I still want them to look for it or whatever the case is. So each year, I let them know that that's something that I want done. But the very next day, I went back out, bought the exact same firearm and a safe. So I have a little gun safe under my seat. So for those times to where there's somewhere you have to step into, because it just takes a matter of seconds for somebody to pop your lock and get in your vehicle. But I do lock it up in a little safe and put it away and go from there. So as far as Virginia is concerned, I don't think that's something that anyone should be held liable for, because we can't control what others do. All we can do is control what we do. So if someone is to steal something of yours and they go out and commit a crime, I mean, you shouldn't be held, liable for that. That's my thought on it. But if you go about it the right way, I think it should all be covered, being like I stated. You call them, you tell them, hey, it was stolen. It's out of your hands at that point. That's why I am on that. But there was a weird feeling, because you're like, man, this person might be sitting here in this parking lot, looking for me, or whatever the case is. And what was weird is that they also stole my insurance verification. So that really, made me nervous, because I'm like, they know my name, they know my address. And so that was something that I never really even thought of. But why would they steal that? But again, that's a weird feeling. But hopefully for the residents of Virginia, hopefully they'll kind of pass something, or maybe it's something that's underlined that we don't know anything about. That they just put the big headline up, Virginia gun laws have changed or whatever. But there has to be something underlying, in which Colonel Esquire could probably go deeper into on another segment. But I would think that someone has to say, hey, look, we can't just punish everyone for this. So,
Did they steal that purple box that you had?
no, that was used a long time ago. That was used in 1989. That purple box, no. That purple box went to a black and gold box. It's all good.
Yeah. So what I will say is,
It's called growth. It's called growth.
yeah, I believe it's too extreme, but I do believe there's something about chain of custody, having total control of a lethal device, right? So I would just recommend, because I have a CCW. I obtained one several years ago when I first arrived in Maryland, and it's very difficult to get one in Maryland. However, I know if I'm gonna go somewhere that I can't take my weapon with me, I'm not even gonna have my weapon in the car, right? Sometimes it's common sense, right? But then people will feel, well, hey, you're taking away my right to carry. I should have the flexibility and freedom to do X, Y, Z. So that's my thoughts on the whole situation, just the chain of custody piece. And if you're going to a place that you can't take your weapon into the building or establishment, just leave your weapon at home. But talking about the NRA, well, granted, I'm adding something to this, but I think if every state had similar strict rules on obtaining, whether it's a handgun, a rifle, anything of that nature, I think it all should be the same. It should be tough. It should be thorough. And then you shouldn't have to worry about it. You still, it's not, I don't believe it's going to reduce any crime because if somebody really wants to kill somebody, they're going to kill them. They're going to find a way. It might not be with a rifle. It might be with a slingshot. Hell, don't know. But I do believe Virginia's just taking it a little bit too far, too extreme. But at the end of the day, the biggest supporters of the Republican Party is the NRA, and so I'm curious to hear what their thoughts are. Any alibis on Virginia gun laws?
Yeah, they want it, made and permanently affixed to the car. Now, going back to your point, there are times that you may run around and, like for instance, I think I told you gentlemen before, I carried a lot, but my oldest would have he's special needs, so he'd have some issues at school. So in order to go in that school, I could not take my gun. I didn't have time to go home, so I had to park the car, obviously not on the school ground, lock it up, and then walk across, to get in there, go handle what I had to handle for my oldest during school, then come back out and then go to my car. So that's what makes it difficult when you have situations like that may occur. Not saying that it's not possible, not doable, but what kind of permanent fixture are they wanting you to attach to your car? If you watch the actual video footage of the actual in court, the proceedings, they're not really telling you what is approved, what's not approved. They're just saying this is what we want you to do. Okay, well, you're telling me what to do, but you're not giving me a way ahead or how to fix it.
Yeah.
So you're coming up with a problem, but not a solution.
Yeah. They want you to go find one. They want you to drive 4 states over to have somebody put that contraption in your car. I'm sorry, go ahead, ADT.
No, I was just thinking about like the one that I have. It's probably I'd say a 6x8, little safe. But what it has is a cable attached to it, to where when you close the safe, it locks. Like it has a cable that you can wrap it around, say, one of the brackets on the seat or something like that. I don't know if you guys have ever,
Yes.
seen that.
And
But I
I've
would
seen
consider that something that's permanently attached, I guess, if you will. I don't know. But it's not, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
I know it says it had to be permanently affixed. Something with a cable like that, you can actually cut the cable. So, we're splitting hairs when we start going down this rabbit hole. That's why it would be nice if they explained what they meant, because I have the same type of device for mine sometimes, and it depends on where I'm going and what I'm doing. But you can always cut that cable and remove that box. It's not permanently affixed. Now, if I welded it into my vehicle, it would be permanently fixed. I'm not going to tear my vehicle apart to weld in a gun safe. Come on now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You will in Virginia, young man.
I know, right?
Yes, I have to move.
Well, hopefully you'll stay here in Texas to where they don't care.
That's why I like Texas.
That's it. But you know what, Dan, you brought up a good point about being on the school grounds. That's something that I never really think of, being that my wife works at a school. I'll go up there to lunch or whatever the case is, but I don't think about that as far as, because it obviously I can't go inside with it, but I do have it in my vehicle. So it's just, that's a weird thing that, we're not even supposed to be on school grounds with them, period.
Depending on that school I was teaching at in Kansas City, I had that in my desk.
That is hilarious.
And it's interesting to see how far it's come, because I don't know if you guys remember when we went to school. Granted, it was a long time ago, obviously.
It was right after
You
Vietnam.
guys had some of them hunting rifles in the back of their truck.
Yeah, everybody had gun
You can
racks.
have, but a rifle you can have in your vehicle, but it's the handguns, correct? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, you can still have rifles, but still, to his point, there were no issues as far as school shootings or
Ain't
anything
no
of that
showing
nature.
time. Nobody's in the parking lot. Hey man, check out my deuce,
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, times have definitely changed.
All we was doing at lunchtime, listening to Keith Sweat. I wanna, Yep, yep.
See you last night.
There you go.
Man, it feels good to be doing this again. Reliving the days of my youth. I haven't had this much fun in a long time. Colonel Esquire. Also go by GIBSON. FMG on the mic. It goes 1, 2, uno, dos. If I ain't the best man, I gotta be close. Best thing since sliced bread, I gotta be toast. I'm a soldier, always guard the limits of my post. Yep, Man Talk Central. I'm one of your hosts. I'm on point, precise with the poetry and prose, making the grade like it's the end of the semester. I'm the crown flow, always under the weather, but I don't need a booster shot. I like my bar 6, so the music's hot. Delivering the kill shot, coup de grace. You know I stay fly. Fuselage, stay fly. Man, from rapping over.
So, since we were talking about schools, I know there was a topic about kids walking out of schools protesting ICE, these ICE raids, things of that nature. What do you think about kids protesting and walking out of school?
Okay.
I'll start with you, Eddie T.
Okay. I think that it's, again, as we spoke on it, I think it was last week, the week before, we were talking about, our protests even, what points are they even, proving at this point. Again, being that my wife works in school, we were talking about that earlier yesterday, as a matter of fact, that they did have a few students, like about 30 students that walked out. And they're saying that they're trying to hold the school accountable. And it's like, well, why are you holding the school accountable? Once that student gets there, and if they decide to walk out, that's on them. The school can't be held responsible. But I don't understand why the students per se are protesting that. Now, if you're down around, I would say, Brownsville or Harlingen or somewhere down there, where they're literally, what they say, they're going on school buses and taking kids and taking people to detention centers and whatnot. I could understand them protesting, but overall, I've seen it around Houston. I don't know, and Dan, I'm glad you're on here. I don't know if it's something that's over there in San Antonio, if they're doing it over there as well. But I've only heard about it here in the Houston area, that they're walking out, and teachers are trying to keep these students from doing that. But I disagree with what they're doing. Them just walking out for because they're protesting ICE doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I'm gonna throw something at you, right? A lot of times we think when there's an issue and it's happening in, let's say, Podunk, Mississippi, right? They should be the only ones to support, right? Or to raise awareness. I think the protest that's outside of the region or the area gives credence to some of the issues that we have across all states. So just imagine if all high schools, social media is huge now, if they plan to walk out. Think how powerful, what type of message that would send. Now, mind you, schools are going to try to put laws in place, rules in place. We're going to deduct points from your grades, your GPA. Parents will be like, hey, don't mess up your GPA, sonny. You about to go to UCLA, whatever that. But just imagine if kids, the future of America, band together and they walked out. To me, that's powerful. To me, that's voice. But that's
but what would it really do, though, as far as ICE is concerned?
Well, one, it would bring awareness, right? But to your point, what is ICE going to do or not do, right?
Correct. That's right.
So I get that piece, but I think it's more about the awareness piece, right?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, walk out every day or what have you, but just like people send out, hey, don't go shop at Target for December 30th, right? And they lost billions of dollars or millions of dollars, right? That's a direct reflection of how it impacted said company. But how do you affect ICE, to your point?
Right. Well, Colonel Esquire stated it perfectly. You hit them in the pocket, but you're not hitting ICE in the pocket with this one.
No, you're not. But maybe there's some adults out there on the teetering left, teetering right. Maybe that'll help them look at it from a different perspective, right? Because kids do think differently than us. But I don't want to hog the time. So, Dan.
Oh no, you guys are perfectly good. I appreciate it though. And to answer your question, Ed, my kids are not of school age, and my grandson isn't of school age yet. But I have not been keeping up with the actual schools and whether they've been walking out or not. I know you have involvement in the schools, but I don't. But what I will say is, this is like an onion with many layers, right? One, kids protesting. That's powerful. That sends a message. I get where everybody's going with it, that, a lot of times protests don't matter and all that, but it does send a message to, not only to the parents, but to everybody else watching. Why are kids protesting? Another thing was, back in the day, for me, when we grew up, you wasn't protesting and walking out of school. I'm sorry, bro, but you got to stay there and get your education. Now, you want to protest, you do that after school. You do it after you do what you have to do as an individual to make yourself a better person. Then you can help somebody else become a better person. That's how I was grown up. That's how I was raised. Help yourself first. There's all kinds of things that we can go down with this rabbit hole. I'm glad they have a voice. I'm glad they're able to project that voice. I do not agree with them walking out of school to project that voice. Now, I get it if it's a free day or if it's a senior day. Okay, we know there are days in school where you're not doing anything. Okay, you know what? That's one of those days. But if it's an regular academic day, to me, that's a foul play. Parents should have talked to their kids and have them improve on themselves and then go improve on somebody else. Because, and I hate to say this, but my own personal bias is going to come into play. I think when we had that No Child Left Behind Act, it started the dumbing down of our nation. That's just my whole opinion of it. Why are you going to pass a kid that doesn't know how to add 2 plus 2? It's not 5, fool. It's 4. You know what I mean? I shouldn't call kids fool, but when I was a kid, that's what I would have said. But you know what I'm saying. You got to be able to add. You know how many times you go to the... My bad. How many times you go to the register and the cashier can't even add up, your change?
Then they disagree with what the register says. Once they say, "Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to give you this much back."
Yeah, you're going to argue with the register. It's a computer that's telling you how much to give back. All you got to do is read the numbers. You can't even do that. So, anyway, no, but for real though, all jokes aside, it is a powerful thing for the kids to protest. So I'll leave it at that.
So, quick comment. And correct me if I'm wrong. Just hit me. I remember in Glenpool, wasn't there a protest our junior year, your senior year, Eddie T, when I got expelled from school for them last 6 weeks? Didn't you guys like put some buttons or something on, like let Robert Barnes back into school? And then they said, hey, if y'all don't take them buttons off, all y'all gonna join them. Shit, y'all was like, we'll see him on the weekend.
Well, I had one mate that would say, hell no, he won't go.
Colonel Esquire, to you, man.
Okay. As far as the schools, to my knowledge, some schools are actually trying to get ahead of it and organize a day where the kids can protest. So the school I used to teach at was one of those schools that they said, okay, we understand that this is a polarizing topic. We don't want everybody walking out and doing their own thing. We're gonna control it. So they had a day where they did the protest. Okay. Now other schools, obviously, the kids are taking it upon themselves and doing it on their own. So, what are they protesting specifically? Is what I'd like to know. Are they protesting the methods of ICE, or are they protesting the fact that ICE is coming in and rounding up immigrants. That's what I'd like to know, because if they're protesting the fact that they're just coming in, we're forgetting the fact that they're coming in because they didn't follow the law. Now, I got it. People got to make a living. They want to come for a better life. But there are laws in place. And I'm not advocating that the law is right. I'm just advocating that the law is in place, and you got to abide by the law in order not to be rounded up. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I can't go to a different country without papers. I can't go. They won't let me in the country without a passport. They won't let me go without a visa. So if they're protesting that, then they probably need to take a step back and educate themselves. Now, if they're protesting the methodology of ICE, okay, I get it, because I think a lot of that's extreme. So I get all that. But I guess I don't even think that these kids really know what they're protesting. I think they, now again, you're going to protest this F I'm going to give you because you're not in my class. You protest that. And the only reason I gave you an F is because I couldn't give you a G. You see what I'm saying? So you need to sit down here and learn this lesson. So I don't, kids are uninformed, in my opinion, as far as what they're protesting and what they're so indignant about. You see what I'm saying? Oh, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me throw something at you. I understand laws being broken, but the problem is ICE is just targeting heavily populated Latino areas.
Correct.
Right? So it's not like laws are being broken. They're targeting there with hopes of finding someone who meets the criteria that came over here undocumented.
Correct.
Right? And then the process that they're using is, well, if you look Hispanic, hey, I'm pulling you over. I don't really think that was the original process. They have tools to identify Robert Barnes III. He is a gang member. He's been arrested for being part of MS-35 or whatever that gang is. Okay, let me find him. Okay, if he's in that area, we're going to that area because that's the last known location, and you go from there. You're targeting those individuals, right? Because what the politicians are saying is we're arresting pedophiles, gang members,
drug
and
dealers,
all this crazy stuff.
right?
But
Violent.
that's my problem, right?
Violent
That's my
people.
issue. I don't have a problem with finding someone undocumented and moving them out. My problem is, okay, because I live in Lancaster, PA, and we have a heavy population of Latinos. You're coming here, you're setting up checkpoints, and because I look Latino, you're gonna pull me over and take me through the rigmarole. And then it's not like it's just, let me get your ID. A lot of times, jokers are treated like they're less than a human.
Correct.
And us as blacks, I mean, at one point in time, we wasn't even considered a full human being.
Right.
Right. And I think we're going back to that. But again, I do believe in immigration policies. I believe we should follow them. I believe people should follow them. And if you don't follow them, you should be deported. But
I saw a
that's just what I just
statistic.
want to add to that. Correct.
I saw a statistic earlier this week. Out of all of the people that are in the detention centers, there are only 5% of people that are there for violent crimes. The other 95% are just there because they're undocumented, in which I don't think that was the whole purpose of having ICE come in and do what they were supposed to do. ICE was supposed to come in and take away, like I said, the violent people, but they're just taking away anyone who looks like they're undocumented. And I don't think that that's right. But I had my hand raised earlier because if, like Colonel Esquire stated, if they were to have a scheduled protest, that would be one thing. But if you were to take the students today, they're unlike we were. But if you were to say, hey, you get up on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock and you meet at this intersection and have a protest, I guarantee you 6 of them will show up. But, they're at school at, I know school here starts at what, 7:10, I think it does, or something like that. But but you get them up on a Saturday, they wouldn't do that. So I just, like I said, like Missouri, I guess that I'm sorry, up in Wichita, is that the school you're talking about, Colonel Square? Yeah. They schedule, a protest. I think that would be an amazing thing. They're still getting their point across. Yeah. So, anyway.
Well, good point. Valid points. I know I cut you off, Colonel Esquire. Did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I was just gonna say, like, yes, yes, there is an element of racial profiling, of course, and I don't agree with that. But I will push back on that to say, have we not all been a victim of racial profiling, and you get pulled over because you meet the description, but your paperwork's in order, valid license, you don't have any warrants. At some point, they got to let you go. That's what I'm saying. I'm not supporting or advocating the methods of what they're doing. But again, DJ ADT's point of statistic he brought up about 5% who are detained are violent, whatever the case is, and the rest are just undocumented. We're missing the key word. They're undocumented. Why are you undocumented? That's a violation of the law. Am I saying you should be rounded up and treated like a less than human being? No, I'm not saying that, but you're undocumented. Like, why are you spending 5, 6, 7, 8 years undocumented? If you truly want to do right, at some point you're gonna die. You're gonna tell the country, "Hey, I'm here. I want to be a citizen." That's all I'm saying. And yes, we can go into the immigration laws. They're complex. They need to be streamlined. You shouldn't have to wait years to become a citizen. I'm not arguing about the laws. And to your point, RB3, it's about money. It's all that. I'm not here to advocate any of that. I'm just saying you're undocumented. I cannot go to El Salvador undocumented. I can't even go to London undocumented. That's what I'm saying. And so people are protesting, but they're missing the piece that they're breaking the law. However nonviolent or violent they are, people are still missing that piece of it.
Right.
You can't even go to Canada undocumented.
Yeah, I was about to say. You can go there for work. You go on a work visa.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you have to show something to get across.
You got to show something, right? Yeah. But I will say this, right? And it's when you talk about undocumented, right? I think sometimes that needs to be even broken down because there's people that have been going through the process and have a certain status, but because they don't have a card, they're considered undocumented, right? So, all I'm saying is like, I don't trust stats when, they post them on news centers and all this crazy crap because it's just, the probability of it being 5 or 10% wrong is great, right? Sometimes it just meets the narrative. But to your point, we can't go anywhere outside of this country without having our credentials in order, right? And I'm going to Panama in a couple of days. Got to have my credentials in order, so it is what it is. Any closing comments? Any alibis?
When you're standing in line at the final to become a citizen and they take you out of line.
That's crazy.
That's wrong.
Wow. So I think they do something in New York, right? Whereas when individuals get their citizenship, they have like a lot of people, and they're like on this stand or whatever, and they do the national anthem, the whole 9 yards. I wonder would ICE be present there, ready to snatch some of them guys up? I need to look into that.
Well, that's what they did in Boston.
They did.
Yeah, they were about to be sworn in. They were standing in line to be sworn in.
Come on,
and they came in and were harassing them and taking some of them.
That's crazy. This administration's off the chain. I know we was going to, talk about something that was in the news yesterday, but we're not going to give it any play. We're not going to give that any play. So with that, any alibis? Got anything you want to say, speak?
Now,
Parting thoughts. Starting with you, Dan.
Everybody out there, let's just take care of each other. I know we've discussed quite a few different topics that have nothing to do with what I'm saying now, but let's look out for one another and be nice to our fellow human being. Treat each other like we should, how we would want to be treated.
Thank you, sir. DJ Eddie T.
being that it's Black History Month, I challenge each and every one of you to read up on just some Black history. Make yourself aware of what has gone on in the past, and maybe that'll help change the future.
Colonel Esquire.
Appreciate everybody checking us out, trying to grow the audience. Like, share, subscribe. As Dan said and Eddie T said, be kind to one another. There's a lot of negativity going on. We try, even though we're going to talk about some of it, we are not going to entertain a lot of it. We encourage people to educate themselves. We don't want you to live in fear. We don't want you to be suffering from anxiety based on everything in the news. Just educate yourself, be informed, do your part as a citizen, be kind to everyone, and we'll see you in another week.
Outstanding, outstanding. As we conclude this episode, be mindful of the loved ones we have lost, those still with us, and the new lives brought into this world. Remember, we have more days behind us than we do in front of us. So be kind, be thoughtful, or be a ass. Whatever it is you decide to do, just be good at it. So with all that being said, for Man Talk Central, wish everybody a happy Black History Month. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. And peace.